Why, hello. I hope you all are surviving the various plagues that humanity has wrought upon itself. I know I am and doing just fine. Just fine. What a beautiful spring day it is. Actually winter, but it feels like spring already. And there's so much going on in the garden. And I just wanted to show you a little bit of this particular bed that I've been doing what we call slash mulch, or what researchers call slash mulch in. And it's a little bit of a different kind of way of starting a garden. It's one I've talked about a lot, where you basically just start a garden by not doing anything, which is pretty cool, I guess. So the bed behind me, it's a pretty big little, it's a pretty big bed, and we have used it for Three Sisters or Four Sisters gardens. We also grow amaranth and a whole bunch of other crops in there with it. And to start that bed, all we did was let things grow and be very careful about our cut timing and observe closely. So with a lot of these natural farming or Fukuoka type systems, you can do them pretty well on scale if you're careful about which crops you plant and how you do them. It works really well with a lot of grain crops that are aggressive. Three Sisters are really fantastic, and it really becomes about being really super specific about the management and watching the growth and cut timing and planting timing. So I want to imply that this is like just a super easy thing that anybody can do. It is an advanced kind of gardening, but it is also about the easiest way you can grow a whole lot of food. So I'm going to show you some things that are just growing in here now, and you'll see pretty much none of these are things that none of the things that are coming up are things that were planted, yet there are all sorts of harvestable things in here. And they're overcropping, because later on the real crop in this garden is corn, beans, and squash, and the main crop is really the corn. And we're hitting really close to conventional yields overall per square footage on corn. So anything else that we're pulling out of this, we're not quite conventional, but we're really close. And so anything else that we're pulling out of this is just extra. So that includes a ton of squash that we're still eating. In fact, our squash yields were really close to conventional too. So we, out of the same square footage, we got squash, we got corn, we got a few beans, mostly to eat green beans, honestly, though I did save seed, and tons of alliums and crones and tons of greens, especially right now in the spring. There are tons of greens coming in right here, and I'm actually going to just mess around just a little bit here and throw down a few seeds in some places and kind of try to tweak a little bit of what's going to grow as cover before we're ready to plant our corn, beans, and squash. It's only March now, so by the time we're ready to plant our corn, beans, and squash in June, we'll definitely be able to get a nice crop of greens out of it, not to mention all of the alliums and everything that are going on. First off, I just want to take an overview look so you can see what the general kind of growth is like through here. One thing that you'll notice if you're like me is it almost looks like a mulched garden bed. All this is just the stuff that was, last year I didn't really even chop and drop it. I did knock down some of the corn stalks, but for the most part, everything here was just left over winter because I was feeling really super lazy. But you can see there are some tufts of grass here and there. You do see some grass coming through, but most of what looks like grass in there are actually, there's about 10 different species of perennialized alliums in there. A lot of the clumps are garlic. Some of those are looking really nice already, better than the garlic that I actually planted. And one thing that has really taken off in here that I didn't plant is actually right here I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scores and arrows, 7. Oh man, that one is really huge. And just here in this little area, I actually harvested a bunch of scores and arrow already. That overwinters really well in the garden here, and just kind of self-sows. Now there's another one, 8. That's huge. I mean, those are as big as they'd be if I planted them in the garden. Some of them are smaller, but there are a good 3 or 4 of them are looking really good. So you can see it's a pretty good seed bed to plant seeds into, especially larger things this time of year. And when it's ready to plant the corn, beans, and squash, it'll be real easy for me to pull aside some mulch, harvest some scorzonera or some onions, and just plant my seeds in it. And the only work I had to do was eating. That was my only work. All I did, as you can see, is just kind of pull aside some things with my little rake. So we can take a look at what the soil is like under there. Now that is beautiful, black, rich stuff. You can see there's a lot of room in between the few onions and garlic that are coming in there to plant seeds into. So this is an environment without a lot of competition going on. We do have some pretty things in there too. They're probably planted by the squirrels. And you can see a crone in there. There's probably lots of crones coming in. So crones will be another big thing that's harvested out of here. A ton of herbs, tons of native plants. Monardas are going to be all through here. Usually chicory. There's probably going to be a ton of mustard coming in too. So here I am now in front of this area with soil pulled back. I really don't even have to pull the soil back, but in a few places I'll probably do this. I'm just gonna take a few. I have some lettuce seeds. I really like butter lettuces for sowing in things like this. I've found, for me personally, in this bioregion, I have the best germination rate, and because of the so much seed coming in from the garden, from the rest of the garden, most of this, the weeds that will germinate in here will be edible things. And so yeah, and then afterwards I'll just walk around on it. You can see how rich and can just see how rich this soil is and how fluffy that is. Even though it's never been tilled, there's no compaction here at all. So what does that? The plants and the constant mulch that layer down on the ground every season, and really tight, dense plantings that help shade everything out and prevent weeds and grasses from taking over. All that just